Shall we play a game?
Greetings world, we are Anonymous Denver.
Hans Scholl was one of those few exceptional Germans brave enough to take the risk. The only pictures that survive show him as a young student at Munich University. It was there he'd learned to hate Nazism, how it crushed individual freedom. In 1942, with a small group of student friends, he began to print leaflets in secret. They called themselves the White Rose, white for purity.
We will not be silenced. We are your bad conscience. The White Rose will not leave you in peace.
At first, Hans's sister Sophie was angry, terrified that he should run such a risk. But she too loathed the Nazis. The way, for instance, the local party boss, Paul Giesler, had urged the girl students to bear a child for Hitler.
One a year. That's what we want. Preferably a boy. It's pretty automatic once you're in the swing of it, and if you're too charmless to find a mate, I'll lend you one of my offices.
Giesler sparked off a near riot amongst the Munich students. For Hans and Sophie, it spurred them on to more opposition. Another 5 leaflets, printed in bulk and taken by train for posting in towns across Germany. The aim was to spread the word.
In the name of the German people, we demand of Hitler the return of our most valuable possession, freedom.
Who's it come from?
A leaflet of the resistance movement in Germany.
How did they get our address?
I don't know. From the phone book, it doesn't matter.
Burn it! You must burn it! It mustn't be found in the house!
I will burn it. But first, I'm going to read it.
On February the 18th, 1943, Hans and Sophie were spotted in the empty university, showering leaflets down the central stairwell. They'd known the risks. Sophie had said just days before,
"So many people have died for this regime. It's time someone died against it."
They were arrested, tried, and beheaded for high treason.
I never saw these 2 young people. I heard only bits and pieces of the story broadcast from London. But the importance of what I heard, I could hardly believe it.
This is the BBC Home and Forces program.
The Scholls are the first in Germany with the courage to speak out for the truth. One day we must all make a pilgrimage to their graves and stand before them, ashamed.
It is time you were made aware of the atrocious events occurring upon our domestic soil. We are peaceful citizens that gather every 5th day of every single month, since November 5th, 2013. The Denver Police Department has campaigned avidly against our peaceful marches and has repeated and provoked attacks upon citizens, animals, and children. It is true, this society has become the biggest piece of shit in all history. America was founded by individuals, many of whom came to this country to avoid the enclosure movement occurring within England. Population expansion had increased after the Great Plague, and aristocrats took over the land of the people who were granted lands to help recover society when it behooved the Queen. Landowners were turned into paupers as the bureaucracy forced many out of their homes and fenced in their lands, claiming it was theirs, through a lie known as nobility. Relatives of the aristocracy were granted titles and rights, who were also relatives, for the violent muscle to ensure order through violent oppression. Eventually, the homeless population grew as a result of selfish government planning and tyranny. People were kept stupefied by the aristocrats not given books in their common language. These poor people were then eventually forced into labor factories and prisons, where they could have a meal and sleep. Society at that time evolved into the rich aristocrats, who in turn married their family to keep the power structure going. The aristocrats' approach was that these poor people were a weight to society and they would be better off dead than an additional mouth to annoy them with so they could feed them, which would lead to another day of poor people annoying them. A Christmas Carol is a movie depicting this very lack of humanity. People, Christmas was only the time Scrooge became aware of his black soul and changed, but it was not a seasonal change as you do in America. This country's hypocrisy cannot be more portrayed than in Denver. Exactly the same situation has been here in America since Depression-era 1930s and Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath. But to make it worse, now an article has been published in Boulder, voicing the same sentiment. Businesses are complaining that the increase in homeless in Boulder, Colorado is hurting their income. Since business is volatile due to stupidity from society as a whole, but most directly from the stupidity of politicians and their own Nazi agenda, this article foreshadows forcing the homeless into for-profit prisons just like Denver, but does not make one mention of Denver's unwillingness to confront its massive homeless population, which then turns Denver's homeless over to surrounding cities. The obviousness of groupthink here is vomit-worthy. Local media will not properly cover a story, so we, Anonymous, will. We are citizens determined to expose the truth. The Denver Police Department has continuously beaten homeless people all over the city in secret dark corners. They have thrown pregnant women down steps and stolen personal property. Considering the foreclosure crisis of 2008, we would expect a comprehensive approach to the problem, but instead, the Denver Police Department has resorted to attacking us almost every March. They have escalated the situation from obvious government tyranny to outright Nazism. The DPD has outright black-bagged people on the street. We have witnessed 4 to 7 man police squads seizing individuals for risking to sit down on a curb or sidewalk. They grabbed a student that had fallen asleep under a tree with a book under his head, likely from the local library, and proceeded to question him, asking if he was homeless, after of course, groping his genitals for no good reason. Pure tyranny. You, the ignorant citizens, are easily tricked by these intimidation techniques until you become molested of your independent spirit, until you become a zombie, with no useful brain, just like in Europe. You have forsaken your country, your heritage, and every step this country has taken to get away from the subjugation of the individual by another. Now, you own nothing. You do not own your car. You do not even own your corporation. You have been pacified and drugged into submission by actual Nazis, and you ignorantly consume and call it satisfying. The foreclosure crisis was predicted and preventable. Housing value has increased 300% in the past 20 years. Gasoline prices have increased 300% in the past 10 years. Food is currently tripling. And when crisis comes upon you, as it does upon all who miss a mere few days of work, you will find you are not allowed to walk down the highways. You will find horses are no longer transportation. And you will realize that you are a fool. Too late. To the Fraternal Order of Denver Police. You think that your pensions will not disappear like those in Cleveland. You really are gorillas then. You half-wits have not clue who is handling your pension funds. You have no clue your pensions are actually paying for the destruction of your children. You kill your own children by your inaction. Your continued tolerance of tyranny within this state and this country is outside the confines of the rule of law, as you have no constitutional authority. Article 6, Clause 2, states, "The Constitution is the supreme law of the land," which means the First Amendment is still very much in effect. We are allowed to disseminate information from sea to shining sea. You are pathetic. You have no consideration for the impact of your actions upon real people. You disregard the foretelling of the military-industrial complex, and you selfishly and greedily subjugate those around you, in spite of the Fourth Amendment, which protects us from unreasonable search and seizure. And you sheriffs stand by and do nothing when a 12-year-old girl is nonchalantly knocked to the ground so you can push us into an eatery and charge us for disturbance of peace. Since we are peaceful, you have to bully us and use Denver media outlets to alter the perspectives of its citizens. Meanwhile, you nationally isolate states and cities from one another, so that no one is aware of the atrocities occurring in other cities. Oh no, Denver Police Department and all illegal entities in this country are going down. We are going to deconstruct your entire society of assimilation and monoculture. You are not allowed to lay a single finger on any of us, and we are going to sue all of you. You are not allowed to open a single purse. You are not allowed to stop us and ask for our papers. And homelessness is not illegal. Get your cameras and psychological audible techniques out of our city and state along with yourselves, or you will be removed for your heinousness. Your swingers parties that go awry will be nothing compared to the prisons you face. Denver senior police officers molesting children. Teachers molesting children in Colorado Springs. How long will you citizens continue to accept death and unfulfilling sex over real truth and reality? You live in a fake world. Everything you see and do is predictable, and quite simply at that.